Morning Facebook, Jen here, founder of Affinity. Good morning, I hope you are well. I shall tell you now, I'm joined by the cat. Can you see him? He does quite like video, so yeah, that's George the cat. He's building up his own personal, what should we say, profile, I think, during coronavirus. He seems to join me for most things. He's over there. This might mean he tries to bother me for more food in a bit, so we'll see how this goes. But morning. As you're joining, hit me up an emoji, tell me how your week has been. Let me know how things are going for you. I have got my coffee. I don't know if you can see, a little bit flipped. I've got me. I might look like I'm listening to you, but in my head I'm doing gymnastics mug. Today that was my choice. So welcome. I can see people are joining us. As I said, drop me an emoji, let me know how your week's going when you get in so I can see. That would be great. And today on Founder Facebook Live, you'll notice I'm wearing a different colour. Yeah, but dug this out. I don't think I've worn this for like 8 years. How crazy is that? I must have moved house like 3 times with this item. I thought I would tell you a bit about the Affinity story, which actually starts with the Sherides story. As you can see, this being my work hoodie from back then. So yeah, isn't it nice? It's a bit retro. I quite like it actually. It's quite comfy. Might keep wearing this. So my first question is, who remembers when Affinity was Sherides? Hit me a comment, let me know. Are you a yes, we remember Sherides? Or are you a what? Affinity used to be called Sherides? Never knew that. I was today years old when I found out that Affinity used to have a different name. And that's going to be part of our story today. And I thought in this time where at the moment in this whole lockdown scenario, but we've been here a long time, things are starting to open up now. We're thinking about our plans. If you're a member of ours, you'll have had an email with a survey in it yesterday. Hi Pat, do you remember this logo? You must. Pat runs club in Luton and will have remembered us when we were Sherides. And Pat, actually you'll know my #1 reason why we changed the name. So if anyone's got any guesses, what is my #1 reason why we changed the name of the club? Start guessing and I will let you know in a bit. But yeah, I thought I'd tell you a bit about how it started and looking back at the moment to inform how we look forward. Yeah, Pat said yes, you know, we'll fill you in a bit. Yeah, and in a time now where we're considering what the future is and how our society's changing and what's going to be important, and what is important to us to actually bring back, it's a choice to come back, to be honest with you. It's pretty damn hard, I have to say. Running a leisure business right now that's shut, it's pretty hard. So it's a choice as to what we actually bring back and how we do it. That's pretty cool. I'm feeling quite optimistic about that. I'm the eternal optimist anyway, eternal positive person. And it's kind of cool. So if you're a member of ours, you'll have had a survey this week to kind of help us start that thought process. Thanks for the hearts. Thanks for the hearts. I can see Kate's here. Hi, Kate. Did you know we used to be called Sherides? Or were you today years old when you found that out? I'm going to tell you about the story. Yeah, so how we started, I think, informs everything that we've done so far. So I thought I'd let you know how that went. And then you can ask me any questions about what's going to happen going forwards as we pick and choose the good bits that we want to bring back and the good stuff that we want to do going forwards. Because if we don't have, for me, if there's not kind of a real purpose behind it, I mean, learning cartwheels and stuff is great. But if there's not actually a real reason to do that, then why do it? There has to be kind of a bigger reason and a bigger why. That's the cat, he's just walking away. Maybe he'll leave me alone. We'll see. So we started in 2006, September 2006. So we are going back like, what, 14 years now? That's pretty crazy. And we started over at Sherides Primary School in Hoddesdon, hence the name. However, we weren't Sherides Gymnastics that first year. So what happened was I finished university in 2006. I did a coaching science degree, which was at Liverpool John Moores University, long way away from here, but a good time up there. And in that I studied a mixture of like sports science. I did a lot of about motor learning, about how you process things, and then coaching actually. So I took coaching placements up with Warrington Gymnastics Club up in the northwest. Actually, we were coaching. I was coaching elite level, but young kids. So elite level 8-year-olds was the group I was working with mainly, as well as a whole load of recreational gymnasts as well. And we had to do coaching modules. My dissertation was about the visual regulation of the vault to run up, which was a lot of fun. It took a lot of work. It was good. It was a good call. But anyway, so I finished that in 2006, and I came back over here, which is where my family's from, in North Hertfordshire, and went back to my club, which is now called Marriott's. It was Barnwell back in the day when I was a gymnast, but it was a club called Marriott's in Stevenage. Some of you might know about it. So I went back there, and they'd had an email through from a school saying that they had had a lottery grant, £5,000 lottery grant to start a gymnastics club, because they had they were a growing school. They were going into 2 form entry, and they had, I don't know what their survey was, but it was something ridiculous about the numbers of kids that wanted to do gymnastics. So Sherides, being Sherides, which you can see now where some of our backgrounds are really well aligned, wasn't just thinking, oh, we'll just run an after school club, we'll get a teacher in. They thought, no, let's go get a grant, let's buy all the kit, and let's get a professional coach, and let's do it right. So they were advertising for that coach, which became me. I got this email through from the club because they were saying who's looking for work, who wants to do whatever. I was considering a few options. Back then, to work full-time as a coach wasn't really a thing. It was becoming a thing, but it wasn't massively a thing. But I coached for a few hours here and there. And we had also the school sport partnerships at that time, which were employing coaches in schools. So I actually got a job eventually with the North Herts School Sport Partnership, which does not exist anymore, but was awesome whilst it did, though they were disbanded in 2012, the Olympic year. Why disband it in the Olympic year? But anyway, that's another story. And yeah, so everyone wanted a sports coach for a few hours here and there. So what I did was I knitted all that together. So I did coaching at Marriott's, I did coaching over at Gosling and Welland's Garden City, the coach preschool, and I took up the advert with Sherides, and we actually started, which was a lot of fun. I got to decide how to spend the money. Most of the money we spent in, you'll still see it's in that room, it's most of the kit in there, and most of it is still there, the bits that are still usable. Some bits have obviously been renewed in this time, but the majority is still there actually, from that 5,000, so it's going pretty well. And we started in September. Now, it wasn't a normal after-school club because we started with 9 classes. So we started with 3 nights after school, and there were 3 classes each night, if I remember correctly. And yeah, it kind of grew from there. So I ran the club myself. I was employed by the school. They did all the admin and what have you. I turned up and coached the classes. And well, yeah, it was great. And the club grew really quite quickly. And the sessions were popular. I was doing things a little differently to how stuff was going on, because in having been away for uni and then coming back and coming into the clubs and in wanting to work as a coach, and having also seen the elite side of things, which I love that, and from background of science, I was like, right, well, if a child needs to be able to do the splits, that means let's look at science, let's look how we do that. But there was still an ongoing few things in the gymnastics world at that time, and I'm talking 2006 now, we're going back quite a way, that I didn't agree with. There was an overriding culture of basically sort of shouting at children and just basically bullying them into doing it. So as in, I'm coach, your child, this is what you do, off you go. Like, there wasn't much of a two-way communication about it. It was, this is what you do, off you go, work hard, get on with it. To achieve high levels, you have to work hard, and this is how it's done. It was a little bit military in places, and I didn't really agree with that. I thought, and I have all the whole way along, and I think you can see now, this is what we've done, in that it's motivation by inspiration, which is what I spoke about a few weeks ago, and two-way communication, and working together, the coach and the gymnast and parent, to actually achieve what we want to, in much more of a fun, enjoyable way. I mean, who wants to be shouted at by their coach? I mean, no. I don't want to, so I don't want to shout at a gymnast, ever. I don't think I've ever shouted at a gymnast. The only time would be possibly when teaching PE and the rooms got very noisy and I've had to shout to get everyone to stop. That's probably about the only time that I've actually kind of raised my voice, and that's in a safety essence. So that was going on in terms of coaching style. The other thing that was going on was that the recreational end of things, as in the children that we teach, literally everyone in our club, the children that aren't going to the Olympics, were definitely seen as second class. And I hated that, absolutely. And even now, like, I really hate that. And that's one of the things that we are absolutely stamping out. So there was definitely a thought of the coaches, they only wanted to teach the squad. They didn't want to teach the rec. It was kind of a throwaway comments here and there. Things like, oh, it's just rec. Like, no, it's not just rec. It's that child over there and they're really important. And actually, when you're teaching children that aren't the most talented, as in they're not going to the Olympics, it actually means a better coach to teach that. It's easy to teach a child who's talented because you just tell them what to do and they do it, and there is more to it than that. But there's an element of, if you're strong enough and flexible enough and you have the training time and all the facilities, you just sort of get on with it. It has other challenges later, but to actually teach someone that perhaps struggles with understanding what their body's doing, to perhaps get them to develop the coordination and the communication with their body to work out where they are and what they're doing. Maybe they need to develop strength a bit more, maybe they're not naturally flexible enough, things like that. To teach that kind of person requires a better coach. So I wanted to give the gymnasts that do the recreational classes, and we're talking typically those that do an hour-ish a week. I'd argue it's still most of the kids in our club now, even those that train a few more hours are still included in that. They need the best coach and they need the best teaching, and there's no reason why they shouldn't have the same care and attention that a child that is training 30 hours a week has. In fact, I think they need more work. They need me to be savvier because I only have you for an hour a week, so I've got to do the best job I can. And also, I wanted to make it fun. That was probably the third thing. Make it fun, not just for the gymnasts in class, as in terms of, it had been a bit military in terms of come in and do this, and I'm like, well, actually, let's come in and play a game, because you're going to actually run around more, which means you'll strength train more, which means you'll get more done, and you've had fun doing it. Like, it's again, motivation through inspiration and through fun, and enjoying what you do and how you move, and then that motivates you to do more. All of these things were like alien concepts in gymnastics back in 2006, which is odd for a sport that really is all about being fun, in my mind. So these are what I kind of founded the club on, and these are the way I was teaching and what I was doing. I also wanted to make it more fun for the parents. I don't know if any of it exists, but I remember looking at other clubs, sort of what you would now call marketing materials, wasn't called marketing back then, or anything communicating, anything letters home, rules, regulations, all the stuff you need to know as a parent, was all very military. It was, you must pay your fees by this date or you are out. That's it. These are the rules, you do this. There was no kind of like actually talking to people like human beings and going, hi, welcome, would your child like to come and do gymnastics? Let's talk. You know, how can we help? What do you want to do? You know, talking to people about when fees are due and things like that, rather than just making it military and that's it, and having no conversation. The customer service is what the term we'd use now. Back in 2006 in the gymnastics and children's sport world, it didn't exist. So those were my main differences that I had. I taught everything in a fun way. I made the parents involved in terms of talking to them like human beings. And I wanted to give the best coaching I could to every single child, regardless of their ability or their future level. So with that in mind, that's what was going on in 2006. So it kind of worked out pretty well, as you probably might have guessed. In 2007, the school went, Jen, we can't handle the admin anymore. Your club has got too big, like, you need to do it. So I'm like, okay. So at that point, I took it over from the school and we registered with British Gymnastics, and we did all the admin ourselves. When I say ourselves, I kind of mean me and probably my bedroom, still living at home at that point. 2 bedrooms. I think I had the spare room at one point. Mum is online here. I think I had admin in one room, sleep in the other, gymnastics over in Hoddesdon. So that was the setup. And I remember September 2007, when we registered up with British Gymnastics, I believe I had about 55 members at that point. And from that point on, it was then like a whole external club. We had the name, which was Sherry D's Gymnastics, as we registered with. And then we started adding things. So I started adding preschool, I think, on a Saturday morning, hired the hall from the school, not just the 3 nights in the week. In fact, I think we'd gone to 4 nights by then. I think we were already in on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then rented it on a Saturday morning, did preschool. I remember adding a squad section as well, so a low-level squad, which is very similar to what's still running. So our competitive gymnastics program, the main squad, top-level squad at the moment, train Tuesdays and Thursdays. I believe they always train Tuesday. Oh, they started 1 day a week. I think it was a Tuesday and a Saturday. Anyway, so we added those extra things. Also, I started to add adult gym now and then. Some of you I can see are here are our adult gymnasts as well. So we did a few bits and pieces then. So, and things kind of carried on from there. We started competing under the name Sherry D's Gymnastics, which, if you weren't aware of this word before, Mum says, yep, and a very heavy filing cabinet in the room. Yes, the filing cabinet. The filing cabinet's still in HQ now. It's been moved. It's had a few homes. I remember every time I have to take the paperwork out of it, it's like 8 boxes of paper. It's insane. But yeah, Sherry D's Gymnastics. Now, if you're new to this word, how would you pronounce it if you just saw it and you hadn't heard me say it? That might give you a clue as to what our number 1 reason for changing the club name was. Type me in the comments, have a go at spelling it out in a phonetic way. How would you have pronounced this name? That was our biggest issue, to be honest, that we started going to competitions, probably in 2008, as well as growing everything else. The club grew, we gained more coaches, all of that sort of stuff, which is for another time. And we were at competitions and we started doing quite well, and no one could pronounce the club name, which... This is the background of the club. I'm very, very grateful for the opportunities given by Sherry D's Primary and by their vision in terms of, you know, I think it sums up how we've started, and that the school's vision wasn't let's just do an after school club, let's get money, let's get a professional coach, let's do it good. So, and that's kind of the way that Affinity has progressed as well. We've done stuff in the same way, like let's just not do it, let's do it really well. Nikki's got a guess. She says charades. Yes, that was one. Anyone else got any guesses? How else? Write me out phonetically. How would you pronounce this word? There were a few. So at competition, what happens is they tend to have like several times, to be honest, the club name is called out. Anytime they announce the club, so when everyone's welcomed at the beginning, anytime at the end when everyone's marched on, when a gymnast competes on the floor and they have music, the announcer will tend to tell their name, their competitor number and the club name. And also anytime a gymnast wins a medal, they go, and winning the gold medal is blah-de-blah from this club. So it was pronounced a lot of times, literally never correctly. Clever says, Shreddies. Shreddies happened, yes. Yes, we were Shreddies Gymnastics Club on many occasions. I shared this in our coaches group yesterday, and one of our coaches, Emma, has been around with us a very long time, said Shreddies was her favourite. I was like, yep. That was one. What else have we got? Lisa says, oh, let me see if I can read all your comment, Lisa. She remember bringing 3 very little girls along a Friday afternoon, getting them changed out the school uniform. I'm on my mobile, Lisa, it won't let me see the rest of your comment. I'll have to read the rest later. But I remember you guys coming in. I remember Hattie and Jenny coming in as preschoolers with Tim. That was great, and him saying he was going to eBay them in jest. It was hilarious. The rapport between them was awesome. Helen's here as well. I can see Helen here. Oh, it's annoying. I can't see your whole comment, Lisa, on mobile. I'll have to find out another way of doing this with another device to have with me next time. I'll read that later and reply. But yeah, so we had lots of different pronunciations of the word, let's say. So that was one of our main reasons for changing the name. So decided we wanted to change it because of that. And also, as we were starting to add other things, obviously we were doing competitive gymnastics, we were adding adult gym, we were doing all sorts of other stuff. And Sherry D's Primary is, well, at that time actually, it was a secondary school with the same name, but it's known as a primary school. So we were finding that as people were hitting kind of age, 12 and moving school, that they didn't, saw us associated as being a primary school activity, which of course was our background, and that's awesome. But there was more. We knew there was going to be more, and that we were going to do more than just that. So we needed kind of our own identity that was still respectful, obviously, to our background at Sherry D's, but gave us our own identity as a club. So when we figured out that was what we were going to do, It then took 2 years to change the name. So anyone who's interested in running a business or runs a business and is worried about naming it, yes, I can tell you naming it was one of the hardest things to do. It partly took a long time because we wanted to do it sensitively with the school. That was a bit tricky because obviously we didn't want to, it's not about cutting ties with it, it was needing to be respectful there. That was very important, and how to do that was quite hard. And then also it was the name. So there were a few name options. There were a few names. This is a whole other story about naming stuff. The short answer is it took a very long time, and I eventually come up with a name at about 2 a.m. on one random Thursday, I think. When I got so frustrated, I just sat there with the thesaurus and kept plugging in words, and eventually it literally shone out to me at 2 a.m. in the morning. This is another story, but and yeah, Affinity was the name. So we changed it in 2012 for the main reason that no one could pronounce it, and that we wanted our own kind of identity. So yeah, 2012 was when we changed it. I believe I've got that right. Yes, 2012, just before the Olympics. So we changed it kind of the April-ish time then. Got our new logos in. This logo you'll see probably every club in the country. Well, not now, but then everyone had this same gymnast. So yeah, we stopped using that one. Also because it's a female gymnast, we wanted to look more generic. So our logo now has just a figure on it, which sums up that it's for everyone, and it's including other stuff too. It's not just gymnastics, obviously, and now with the sapphires and all the trampolinists as well, we're there. Yeah, Sandra Posters. Oh yes, the name Saga. Yeah. Even when you go in and tell people at competition, it's Sherides, even though I nearly said it wrong, they still get it. Still sort of say it wrong. I mean, it was highly entertaining and all, but it was getting annoying, and the gymnasts were noticing. The gymnasts were starting to laugh, and they were starting to also then feel a bit disheartened that they weren't being announced correctly. So yeah, it had to change. So yeah, so we changed the name in 2012. Stuff grew, obviously the Olympics happened then. We started using, I'm not sure what year we did actually, probably about that time, probably 2013 maybe. We grew a bit more, and we started using both halls at Sherides Primary. So we had some classes in the upper hall, and then they would start up there, they'd warm up, we had a floor area out there, and then we'd walk them down and they'd do the apparatus in the lower hall. It was mental. I think it was only a year we did that for. It was awesome though. It worked actually really, really well. If anyone's concerned about running a gym in 2 rooms, actually it worked pretty nice, to be honest. It was a bit nuts, but yeah, it worked out well for us. We had a bit more space to warm up, and then apparatus in another room. Worked really well. So that was another year, and all that time I've been looking for premises. I'd been looking for premises like a few years previous and got a bit scared, to be honest, and sort of stopped looking. And then it got to a point where it was like, no, this is it. As much as we love being here at Sherides, there's more. There was always like the end goal at that point, certainly. Possibly still now, I don't know, it's hard to tell as someone who has a facility, but it feels like the end goal for any gym club is, let's have a gym, let's have our own place, because getting the stuff out and back all the time is kind of painful. And yeah, often things in schools, often they have other events, and same for anywhere. If you hire a space and it's not yours all the time, you tend to get thrown out of it at times, which is just to be expected, but it's nice to have your own place, and your own place that's there all the time, so then you can have an office and a coach's room, and you can have, you know, stuff stored there all the time. You know, we were having stuff shared between several houses and places and stuff on site and things like that. So you get to that point where you're like, let's have a home. And that was in 2014. Eventually we found our place in Plumpton House, which again, that's another story for another time. But suffice for now, we moved to Plumpton House and then started adding more stuff, as you might imagine, because to take on a rent of a building, I worked out we had to basically double our membership to cover it. So, yeah, no mean feat. I think it took us about 2 years to double the membership. We've now been in there 6 years. 6 years, our lease is up again for renewal. Brilliant timing for a lease to be up for renewal, can I say. Middle of when it's actually shut, I have to re-sign a lease on a building that is shut. That's quite scary. That's a task for the next few weeks. But anyway, so that's kind of how it started and how it progressed. You probably know now, coming more up to the recent history, that we've grown through our time over at Plumpton House and added more sections. Obviously preschool came back. Preschool had ended for a while in our last few years over at Sherides, and obviously we've working with the Sapphires now over at Goffs, and then that means with the trampolinists over at Goffs Academy, and yeah, there's lots going on, and the advent of freestyle gymnastics and all sorts of things. We've always been quite keen on adding stuff, and that comes back to how it all started, which was about wanting to make stuff fun, wanting to give the best to the kids that we could, regardless of ability or talent or whatever, and the way that our sports progressed has enabled us to do that. So it might be that actually maybe you're not massively flexible. No, that doesn't mean you can't be a gymnast, but you might want to be a freestyler. You know, you're very strong, you're very good at jumping, let's go do freestyle. Stuff like that. So that's why we've added extra things over the year, and that kind of brings us to where we are now. It's like, let's think, what are we going to do going forwards? So this time of kind of being shut is a good reflection time on that. So if you've got any questions on where we're going, drop them in and I'll answer them. But I can tell you what I know for now is that I think I'm almost more excited about building an organisation that can serve the people in it as I am about building gymnasts. We have our coaches now, we've grown a lot larger. The coaches really look after the gymnasts in their own respective areas. Obviously the Sapphires with the cheerleaders, and each area of gymnastics has a department leader, that's what we call them, and they look after the gymnasts in that area. But as we get bigger, it then becomes more about, well, how do we look after everyone else? That's all the staff, all the members, all the team, all the people we work with, the people that we talk with over at Goffs and Sheridy's, our landlord, and all of these kind of people, and what the organisation can do as a whole is really important. And then what we're teaching these gymnasts now, it's always been not just about, hey, let's teach you a cartwheel really well. It's been about, well, let's have you really welcome, and let's have you be aware of what you're doing and be able to progress. That kind of, the life skills element of it, that's something I would really like to pull through even more obviously. I mean, we know sport, and particularly gymnastics, teaches a lot of life skills. Just inherently, it's how it's done. And we know our coaches are great at teaching in that style, in it being kind of quite two-way and things like that, talking to the gymnasts, having them involved. But I want to do that more obviously, have that definitely more obviously. And supporting people better. Our society's going through big changes, and how can we actually support and understand the families that come to our club a bit more? And adults, guys, you guys need as much fun in this movement as the children do. So I would love to support as adults more, or families. Got some ideas on the table about some family fit type stuff. We've actually done a few things over the years on family fit. It's never kind of stuck around very long, but it is there. So if you've got a question on what we're going to do going forwards, please let me know. If you're a member, you'll know that you'll have a survey. I sent that yesterday, asking a few questions about kind of returning to class and things like that. The plan at the moment in terms of time is for us to do a proper return in September when the schools go back, but with, fingers crossed, some sort of ad hoc classes maybe over probably at HQ in July and August. We can't currently get into the Goffs site, so we've got to see how that one pans out. We don't know about that venue, but we certainly know we can get into HQ as long as I re-sign the lease, and perhaps run some classes in there, which would give you guys a chance to come back in, and and for us also to test out how we have to run classes with any different measures and things like that. So that would mean when we come in September with more, we really hit the ground running on that one. My first question. So Nikki says, when are you going to, we say wrong, I think you mean add circus to the mix. Claire also has said circus skills would be awesome. So Nikki and Claire are team trampoline. Interesting. You guys are used to being in the air. As you know, I love being in the air also. Usually hanging from an aerial hoop or silks. I do quite like trampolining. I must come to your classes and have a little bit of play again. That was fun. Yeah, when are we going to bring circus? Circus to me is the next obvious addition to the Affinity sort of family. I've always felt gymnastics is the start point, and it's gymnastics and related activities. Personally, in my own gymnastic career, I did gymnastics, then I did cheerleading, now I've done aerial. So you can see where that's going, that we've added the cheerleading skills in. Aerial would be awesome. I would love to add it. However, my friends at Studio Fly in Ware and Harlow are doing an awesome job of it over there. So at the moment, I would just direct you over there, to be honest. They do awesome. Those of you that know about Studio Fly, Sandra says bye. Claire says yes, do it. Yeah, not at the moment, because Studio Fly are doing a great job, and that's not from a competition point of view, but that's from a well, they're down the road and they're doing it awesome, and I think they're great. So I would rather support another local business like that, to go, you know, and go and support classes there. I don't know, maybe Claire might be watching this at some point. Maybe we can work together in some way. Maybe there's a collaboration. Maybe we can run something together. I don't know. But yeah, that's where that's going. I would love to add it at some point, but you need height. Our HQ venue is a little low. And there's probably enough space about in the middle to do a few things though. The golf site's pretty tall, but we're not allowed to drill into the walls. So there's a few bits and pieces there. So at the moment, no, I think I'd rather let Studio Fly do a really awesome job of that. Ashley, I can see you've joined. Ashley's my neighbour, so she's probably through the wall over there. Yeah, welcome to my kitchen. Welcome to Founder Facebook Live. I've just been telling everyone the story of how it all started, which is why I'm wearing the most retro hoodie I have. The Affinity used to be called Sheridy's. We changed the name because no one could pronounce it. Essentially, that's where that one came. Oh, she says hi. Hi. Yeah, we're just talking about the future now. So I've been asked, when am I adding circus? Ash will know I've got an aerial rig in my garden. So maybe when this is done, we'll bring the rig into the gym and have a play, huh? Got to work out qualifications, insurance, all of that. But at the moment, I'd say go to Studio Fly. They are really awesome. It's like my second home after the gym. Very much in support of what they're doing over there. So yeah, join Studio Fly for aerial. That's good. Anyone got any other questions about where we're going or about where it's been? I'm nearly done with my coffee. I know there's a delay, so you might all be typing and I don't know. So I'm just going to drink my coffee for a little while. And if there's any more questions on where we're going, I'll think more about circus. Maybe there's a way of doing it together with Studio Fly. We'll see. Kind of got enough to do right now in just trying to survive and trying to make sure we can come back into what was running before. That's a challenge and a half at the moment, I have to say. Especially with, you know, social distancing is going to be tricky. Not impossible, because hey, we're resourceful. Always been like that. Always thought, well, how can we do something? Let's, you know, not one to be laying down too long going, well, this is going to be awful. I mean, it is pretty awful, actually. If you calculate it out, it's pretty horrific. But hey, what can we do about it is more my aim, be proactive. Claire says, from our perspective, we're just excited to go back. I'm excited too. It felt a bit more real the other day. I've been in the HQ gym a couple of times. I say a couple of times. I've been in there every week or two since we've been shut, just getting the post and what have you. And yeah, I think just this last week, it felt like, yeah, there'll be people in here again soon. Trampolining must be easier to social distance as well. I don't know how we do the cleaning on that though. We'll have to find that one out. But in terms of distance, it's got to be easier. Got to be possible. So perhaps that's something we can do. Depends on obviously what's happening over at the school site over there. Right, that's the end of my coffee. So I think that has got to be the end of Founder Facebook Live for one morning. If there are no more questions, I hope you've enjoyed. If you want to share this video with anyone who needs to know the backstory or wants to just enjoy my retro hoodie, I quite like this. It's quite cosy actually. Apart from it's actually like 20 degrees outside and I don't really need to wear a hoodie. Yeah. So have a great day, have a good weekend, and I will see you for Founder Facebook Live next week. Nikki says, Claire will love antibacterial wipes. She's obsessed. We can clean between goes. Whoop. Yes, you'll have to clean. And Claire, I've been thinking about distancing. I have ideas for cleaning. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, we'll start getting together with that really soon. Claire says, hi Nikki, you know me well. These guys, can you see the teamwork here? Claire and Nikki, Team Trampoline. Yes, awesome. Yeah, I've already have had a cleaning company in to consult an HQ. So obviously we're kind of, it's not that I'm ignoring the other venues, it's that HQ is the one is our full-time premises. It's the one we can control. It's probably where we'll start. And obviously it's the one where we have the responsibility for it. On the other school sites, they're going to have their own rules that we will abide by and then add ours in as well. So yes, we will at some point, I think, team. It's in the pipeline. A few more things to do first over the next couple of weeks, but I'd say certainly by the end of the month we'll then be really more active in, right, how are we coming back? And we'll know from the government by that point as well, because I know you can see everything is reopening, and I mean, I got a text off Nuffield last night saying how they're going to amend their clubs, but the government haven't actually given us the official guidelines. As a leisure business, they have not actually done that yet. So we're all best guessing, which is good. And of course we're all speculating on it, but my mind is we've got a bit of time. Really, I'd rather kind of do it once. So if we know what the guidelines are and then get on with it. Nikki says, will Freestyle maybe move to HQ for a bit? Don't know. Could do. I've looked at options like that. I've had to consider what happens if we have to drop a venue. Which one should it be? Maybe move to HQ. Will Freestyle... Yeah, no. Nikki, you're typing too fast. I read it too fast. I read it exactly how you wished. That's funny. But yeah, I considered about, do we drop a venue? In theory, that's the best thing to do. But it's tricky because cheerleading can't fit in HQ. And our HQ stuff can't go to Goffs because it doesn't have equipment in it. It's just a floor space. So it is like, actually, really, to do this right, we still need both. The lease is up at HQ, which is concerning, re-signing that, I have to say. But I don't want to lose it. I just, yeah. I've been around this one quite a lot, but we'll have to see what we can do. We have options, you know. Freestyle could move back to HQ. Yes, certainly, it was there before. So that's an option. Looking at them all. So, right. I will leave you be for the rest of your weekend. Have a good one. Hi Wendy, I can see you joined us. You'll be familiar with this logo. You'll have to hit back and watch the replay for the rest of the story. Have a lovely day. Sunshine out there, I think. I'm gonna go enjoy the sunshine. Have a lovely weekend. I'm back next week. I haven't got a topic in mind yet for next week, so if there's anything you'd like me to talk about, drop me a message, write it in the comments here. If there's anything you want to know more about or anything I can help with, anything particular, write it in and I'll consider it for next week. I do have one idea, but it needs a lot of research, so it depends on how much work I get to do on it in the week. It might be a few weeks' time. Anyway, have a lovely week, guys. Bye.